morning, Crtv and Malema would continue to experience light showers with a fully clouded sky in the region. And we end with the north region, where no showers are expected in the entire region tonight, in a similar situation to progress until morning, with temperatures as low as 21 degrees. So why not find time to go see what the Benue National Park looks like? Thank you for watching. Good night and good luck.
That was the weather forecast with MTN.
Together, it's 20 over 20. 20,000 cash every 20 minutes, 20 cars and 20 million francs. Buy a bundle from 250 francs. Dial *22#.
Infrastructures to host the African Nations Championship CHAN in the littoral region are set for the Games. Prime Minister Joseph John Gutte applauds the commitments during an inspection tour today in Douala. A new mining company to control and promote mining activities in Cameroon sees the light of day. The National Mining Corporation, Sonamin, decreed by President Paul Biya, is explained in tonight's newscasts. The chief of Mile 14 is brutally killed by unidentified gunmen in the southwest region. The population, still to recover from the shock, is consoled by administrative authorities and relieved by the release of the chiefs of Mile 15 and Mile 16 taken hostage. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Welcome back. The countdown to the African Nations Championship is narrowing, and government is assessing the country's readiness to host the competition. Prime Minister Joseph John Gutte is in the littoral region for an evaluation of stadia and training pitches. After inspecting 6 structures, the head of government expressed satisfaction at the level of execution. Christian Chair Atam reports that it all began with the Japoma Sports Complex.
The Prime Minister's inspection tour of stadiums to be used during the January 2021 CHAN in Douala started at the Japoma Sports Complex. Joseph John Gutte was shown around the annex stadium, the press center, the dressing rooms, the medical center, and various other facilities, all ready for use according to the enterprise in charge.
This Japoma stadium to me is the most aesthetic one compared to the other stadium, because this ICOM design and very good design in the world. Maybe if somebody put the stadium into competition, like as a design point of view, aesthetic point of view, I think it will get a degree. It will be in the first 10 stadium, because the design, the aesthetic is very good compared to the other stadiums.
Prime Minister Joseph John Gutte inspected 4 other main and training stadiums after Japoma. He visited the Reunification Stadium, Bepanda and its annex, the training stadium of the Brasserie du Cameroun Football School, and the Bonamoussadi Training Stadium. There was satisfaction at every level with the quality of the stadiums, the facilities, and the quality of the different pitches. The only project still under execution, which Joseph John Gutte visited, is the construction of the east entrance to Douala. The Prime Minister expressed optimism that before the start of next year's CHAN, the situation will be much better. The inspection tour ended with a closed-door meeting with various actors involved in the organization of next year's CHAN. The main recommendation during the meeting was for vigilance of all actors to keep the different facilities in optimal condition.
The quality of infrastructure that will ease the hosting of the African Nations Championship is laudable and translates the state's commitment to give the continent a memorable soccer jamboree. Prime Minister Joseph John Goutey underscored that the state-of-the-art equipment and facilities Cameroon has opted for will make Africa proud. Let's listen to the declaration made by the PM today in this excerpt.
I am very proud about the achievements that Cameroon has been able to make these past few years. It's taken a lot of sacrifice, but when I see the quality of the stadiums, I think they are of the highest possible level. And I wish to take this opportunity to thank the head of state for his vision to give the Cameroonian youth such wonderful tools for sports. I secondly would like to tell the young Cameroonians that after 1 year of COVID, it's been very difficult for them. I think beginning of next year should be a period when they can come out and go to the stadiums. We are going to ask the head of state what percentage of the stadiums should be occupied, maybe 50%. I'm encouraging them to come and to support all the teams that will be playing here in Douala.
Was Prime Minister Joseph John Goutey speaking today while inspecting sports infrastructure in Douala. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has begun branding the stadia concerned with the African Nations Championship. This entails placing CAF visuals in and out of the stadia to announce the immensity of the tournaments. The exercise began today at the Omnisport Stadium in Yaoundé. Baldwin Sama watched the team at work and now reports for the 7:30 News.
The Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium already visible with CAF visuals telling signs that the African Nations Championship is around the corner. Ongoing branding with CAF messages can be seen on some posters with some stands about to be erected. Some youth recruited will work here daily for the next 1 week, making the concept of look and feel attractive, officially materializing the effectiveness of Cameroon's hosting of the African Nations Championship.
We will dress up all the sides concerned with the completion with CAF visuals. Look and feel means there are portions reserved for CAF, while others are reserved for Kokan.
After the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium, staff of this partner company with CAF will carry out a similar branding at Selimbe Omnisport Stadium before the Japoma and Bipana Stadium, with the exercise to last for at least 1 month.
As announced in one of our top stories, a national mining corporation known as Sonamin has been created by presidential decree. The public company, with the state as its sole shareholder, is charged with developing and promoting the mining sector. It is under the Financial Supervisory Authority of the Ministry of Finance and the technical control of the Ministry of Mines, Industries and Technological Developments. Luma Slim Davies tells us more.
The National Mining Corporation, referred to as Sonamin, shall be a public corporation with the state as sole shareholder. However, provisions of Article 2 gives room for public and private entities to acquire shares.
With the creation of Sonamin, we have a lot of advantages because they can move forward now to try to plan and to try to realize their activity in a very professional and a secure way. There were too much lack of information from one ministry to another, and those companies were having a lot of problems to try to work professionally.
Sonamin, with legal and financial autonomy, shall have headquarters in Yaoundé that may be transferred to any other locality by resolution of the Board of Directors.
We are talking about billions of francs CFA per year. Sometime you can have, for example, a company which is registered in the Ministry of Mines. But the Ministry of Finance don't have a lot of information about the same company, so that if the company just work only with one ministry, government lose a lot of money, for example, for taxation and so on.
The new corporation shall promote and develop Cameroon's mining sector.
The dismal execution of public contracts in Cameroon for the past years has led to the institution of reforms, such as the e-procurement system, to check the poor implementation of projects and sometimes abandoned programs, blamed on corruption and impractical studies, as well as the late payment of bills. The state is poised to turn the tides. Joyce Kimbi-Fuwaju reports on the remedies in this investigative report.
Public contract reforms, including new code, digitalization and outright sanctions, had been introduced to ensure performance and expected results in government contracts. Unfortunately, the phenomenon of abandonment, late or poor execution of projects continues aggravating, with hundreds of projects concerned across the country. The lowest bidder system in the procurement of public contracts are amongst the blames cited.
Non-maturity of project, corruption, poor appropriation of the new contract code.
Most private contractors attribute the dysfunctioning to late payment of their bills. But as remedy,
privilege private partnership to manage risk, training all actors involved of public contract.
All said the magic formula could be patriotism, that is, devotion plus vigorous support for Cameroon by all involved in public contracts, this to bridge the leprous phenomenon.
The Ministry of Water Resources and Energy has a budget of 226 billion CFA francs for the 2021 financial year, which will be dedicated to step up the qualitative and quantitative supply of the commodities. Focus will be on the revamping of hydroelectric dams, extending supply lines and the construction of some 350 scan water stations. In continuation of our series on the priorities of the 2021 Finance Bill, Clarice Aretakan explains.
With the Memvela and Making hydroelectric plants powered up since 2019, more than 90 megawatts of additional electricity is injected into the southern interconnected grid daily. However, this quantity remains largely insufficient to meet the needs of households and businesses. This explains why the construction and commissioning of electricity transmission lines will be amongst the priorities of the state in 2021 in order to increase access to the commodity. The aim is to enable power plants, both old and new, effectively play out their role and reason for which they were built in the first place. Proposals equally center around stepping up renewable energy sources and strengthening rural electrification. Funds targeting electricity sector development will be instrumental in this regard. This will go operational in 2021, as well as the start of some major electricity works and project maturity in various hydroelectric targets. Meanwhile, improved potable water supply will require the continuation of activities of the drinking water supply project for Yaoundé and its surroundings from River Sanaga. Infrastructural investments in this area will touch on the rehabilitation of water stations and the construction of boreholes, with funds amounting to 500 billion CFA francs to attain these objectives in 2021. 62.5% drinking water access is the result hoped for.
And now on to this press release from the Civil Cabinet of the Presidency of the Republic in the capacity of personal representative of Mrs. Chantal Biya, spouse of the head of state, founding president of the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CIRAC, Mrs. Catherine Esso, CIRAC vice president and regional delegate for Littoral, will chair the ceremony for the official retrocession of the bilingual school complex of Misoletu Center, renovated and equipped by CIRAC in the Bamba Sanaga Maritime Division, Littoral region, on Wednesday, December 16, 2020, at 11 a.m. prompt, in strict compliance with anti-COVID-19 prescriptions. It is signed by the Director of the Civil Cabinet, Minister Samuel Vondo Ayelo. On to this other philanthropic move. 2 modern toilets as well as humanitarian aid have been given to internally displaced cattle rearers in Magba in the west region of the country. The gesture of the Strategic Humanitarian Services (SHUMAS) is in line with her annual program to reach out to the vulnerable. Details with Victor Siga.
Kurap in Magba subdivision, Nun division of the West region, is host to about 171 internally displaced persons from the Northwest region who have been living in difficult conditions. The Shuma's humanitarian response to the largely Fulani community comes as a stitch in time.
Shuma's actually is working in all of the national territory precisely in 2 principal domains. in the domain of development and the domain of humanitarian response. This project actually is within the framework of the humanitarian response. The people found in this village, their cattle were all seized from them, and the war drove them away, and they came here absolutely with nothing. Suma decided to come to their assistance, and we had our assistance was a bit global.
The internally displaced persons were offered a sheep each and were trained on sustainable sheep production and water purification. The non-governmental organization has also reached out to the underprivileged in the littoral region by constructing a science laboratory at the government bilingual high school Bekoko Douala and the installation of solar energy at the St. Odile Health Center in Ekite, Edea.
In economic news, the 12th ordinary session of the Monitoring Committee of the Economic and Financial Program of CEMAC is underway in Congo, Brazzaville. It is chaired by the Permanent Secretary of CEMAC, Antoine Gakenyi, and the members are probing into the application of recommendations on structural reforms on integration within the sub-region. Caroline Okie-Anoma tells us more.
After the historic successes recorded during the Paris Infra Week and the Paris Roundtable Conference to fund integration projects of the CEMAC sub-region, it is now time to take stock of what has been done so far within the CEMAC sub-region and what needs to be done. Reason why members of the steering committee of CEMAC under its chairman Antoine Gakenyi has been meeting with some delegates both in person and via video conferencing in Congo, Brazzaville. Key issues discussed so far has been on how to implement the recommendations made concerning structural reforms and the enhancing of integration projects. Other aspects such as an update on operationalizing the single financial market structures, the level of implementing foreign exchange regulations, the merging of the two financial markets in the Central African sub-region, as well as enhancing financial stability and inclusion void of money laundering were also examined. With about 3.8 billion euros at hand to finance some integration projects, the steering committee will also deliberate on prioritizing integration projects to kickstart. The meeting will continue tomorrow with the adoption of.
And now on to cooperation news. The Turkish Embassy in Cameroon and the Cameroon Radio Television Corporation, Crtv, have entered a partnership agreement. The accord permits the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency to modernize Crtv's equipment and work environment as well as the training of its personnel. The entente was appended by the Turkish ambassador to Cameroon, Aïssa Seraz, and Crtv's Director General, Sean Dongo. Gilbert Ongene has the details.
By appending their signatures on this partnership agreement, the Turkish ambassador to Cameroon and the Director General of the CRTV are setting the stage for a fruitful cooperation between the state broadcaster and the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, TİKA. At the end of the day, it's the CRTV that stands to reap a bountiful harvest from the cooperation ties between Yaoundé and Ankara.
We conducted training programs on different formation of journalism. It's just the beginning of our collaboration. We are sure that we will extend, widen, elaborate on different areas.
More so, Turkish cooperation is already refurbishing Studio One and the main reception hall of the TV production center, plus the provision of 3 sets of TV cameras and accessories. As Cameroon braces up to host international sports competitions in the days ahead, such assistance which Turkish officials promise to reinforce would help boost the capacity of the CRTV for future local and international.
In higher education, some 800 students of the National School of Administration and Magistracy (NM) have taken part in the matriculation ceremony of the institution today. The no-batch Christians' resilience by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Joseph Lay, engaged to stand by the rules and regulations of the school and to be assiduous. Emmanuel Mvemnue tells us more.
576 freshmen, that is 502 Cameroonians and 74 from CEMAC countries, He matriculated into the National School of Administration and Magistracy in NAM, Christian's resilience due to the security challenges, economic as well as health constraints. The Director General of NAM, Sumbu Angula, has called on the students to brave the odds and seek education.
They have a lot of challenges that they must overcome. When you are disciplined, you can obtain any result. You need to tell them that now you are in one family, the family of Enam.
They have noted down useful tips on decentralization and the transfer of powers in Cameroon in their inaugural lesson as they get set for real classwork.
What I learned from my preparation is that to give command to somebody, you should first of all allow yourself to be commanded.
The academic year in Enam now on, students and teachers have been told to work for a smooth academic year.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The festive season is here and the temptation to attend gatherings and celebrations is high. As merrymaking is made, there is a tendency for people to forget masking up or even respecting physical distancing. Baldwin Sama is at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam, to emphasize the risk involved in such negligence. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kmer. Indeed, it becomes very difficult for Cameroonians to resist not attending weddings during this particular period. And when they do attend these weddings, some of them vehemently do not respect these outlined barrier measures, forgetting to know that these are some of the opportunities through which the virus can easily spread. We discussed that tonight with our guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam, a virologist. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
What do Cameroonians need to know as far as how the virus can easily spread through weddings?
Yes, Baldwin, with respect to our national response against COVID-19, crowd of more than 50 people have been forbidden because we know within this environment there is a high risk of infection. And in our context, actually, be it in the northern region or in the southern region, we have been seeing cases of positive COVID-19 after wedding ceremony, and generally 5 to 6 days after those wedding ceremony, people turn to have fever, people turn to have joint pain and sore throat. Then when they come for testing, then we realize they are positive. So we now have actually clusters of individuals who were infected because they took part in that same party during the wedding. And that's why we really want people, first of all, to understand that COVID-19 is present everywhere, be it during good or bad events. And secondly, even if you have to go for a wedding ceremony, make sure you should put on your face mask. And because actually, for all those positive cases that we have received so far, almost all of them did not have their face masks during the wedding ceremony. And for this reason, we really want everybody to make sure during ceremony, make sure you have your mask, make sure also you should have hand sanitizer in such that this ceremony shouldn't be a source of spread for coronavirus in our context.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Fokam, for being our guest this evening. We are not at all discouraging you from attending these weddings. Attend them, but strictly respect the outlined barrier measures to avoid the spread of the virus. Back to you, Esther Kmer.
Thanks, Baldwin Sama. And if you notice that you've been exposed to the virus, it's important to get tested immediately. And to diplomacy, the Clubs of Spouses of Cameroonian Diplomats has held its annual General Assembly to deliberate on ways to empower themselves and impact society. The conclave, which took place in Yaoundé, was an occasion to evaluate the activities for 2020 and to adopt a plan of action for next year. Charles Ebounet attended the meeting and now reports.
3 times 7, 21. For 21 years now, the Circle of Spouses
of Cameroonian diplomats has been existing to enhance solidarity amongst them.
To exchange vital information among members. These vital informations are shared among members when there is a departure for members to go abroad and when there is a return coming back to Cameroon.
Each year, especially at the end of the year, they come together to evaluate their activities. And this year, sanitary diplomacy, because of the coronavirus, has determined their actions.
The years ahead, we have a project that is very dear to our heart. That project is to build a house. That house, we are going to call it La Maison de l'Épouse du Diplomate.
At this year's end-of-year party, they are joined by their friends, colleagues and other well wishers to evaluate how the years unfolded together.
We have shared the little that we have with underprivileged people around us. We have shared the little that we have with women who suffer from cancer.
The Circle of Spouses of Cameroonian Diplomats is a voluntary association with a common goal: to keep contact among the wives of Cameroonian diplomats.
Now, on to this sad story. The inhabitants of the Mile 14 and its environs are yet to recover from the shocking murder of their traditional ruler, Chief Emmanuel Ngale Ikome, the custodian of tradition, who was kidnapped by unidentified gunmen last Sunday, was later killed. His colleagues from Mile 15 and Mile 16, who were equally taken hostage, have been released, and the divisional officer for Boya has condoled with the bereaved. Giro Jenana has the details.
It was a saddened and confused family that the divisional officer for Boya, Abba Abdurrahman, and the MP for Boya Urban, Donald Malumba, met at the palace.
As they would arrange place, they will join here, they will start shoot gun. Or we now will run, now will enter his house, we'll sleep with the floor. That boy is who they be this, who they there, who said they they enter now for his house because we see they enter, they take chief, they take Uganda to collect them.
After expressing their condolence to the family, the authorities reassured them that all is being done to bring the culprits to book.
We have also come here to assure the bereaved family of the infringing resolve of the state of Cameroon to stand by them, to fight those who are against the peace.
It's very preoccupying that the chiefs in this legendary city of Boya are being specifically targeted. I am calling on the people of Boya to collaborate with defense and security forces. Each of us has to become a vigilante.
The death of the chief of Dibanda, Chief Emmanuel Ngale Ikome, has left the people of Boya and, by extension, the people of the southwest region in shock. According to the family members, the chief had organized a party to inaugurate his newly constructed palace when some unidentified gunmen stormed the palace and kidnapped him and two of his peers.
May the chief live on and may peace return to the area. On today's advertorial, Orange Cameroon and the African Institute for Computer Sciences are involved in the training of youth. They have signed an agreement to that effect to promote the use of information and communication technologies. The Chief Executive Officer of Orange Cameroon, Frederic Debord, and the resident representative of the African Institute for Computer Sciences, Claude Abanda, signed the agreement. Colette Jani reports.
Within the framework of its social responsibility policy, Cameroon's leading telecommunications operator Orange Cameroon has decided to partner with the African Institute of Computer Sciences, EIE, to accompany the government of Cameroon promote information communication technologies.
For Orange, it's clear, we'll help EIE to train people, we'll have access to new resource, good students, but at the same time we will support with all our technological aspect, with all what we can bring from Orange Group, our expertise in terms of IT, to help and to have some dedicated task in relation with technology and telecommunication. So it's really a win-win. We have access to good resources, have access to all what the Orange Group could bring, and I think it's it's the best for the youth and for tomorrow.
This new partnership will permit Orange Cameroon to provide EIE with the technological tools necessary for this cause to be achieved.
I'm very, very happy for that partnership. That partnership is very important for our students because for study, many students will have great advantage. Several former students of our institute work in Orange Cameroon.
Again, the students from EIE Cameroon will be opportune to do their internships at Orange Cameroon and also participate in some socio-economic forums.
Our main story tonight was that infrastructure to host the African Nations Championship, the CHAN, in the Littoral region are set for the games built for January next year. Prime Minister Joseph Dongute has applauded the commitment of the people during an inspection tour in Douala today. If you missed out on this edition of the newscast, you can join Adel Mbala at 8:30 p.m. for the news in the French language. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Thanks for watching and staying to our programs on CRTV and on CRTV News.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing